take vitamin D, there's about a 50% chance you're doing it wrong. And you could be doing it wrong in a way that not only makes it ineffective, so you can't actually absorb or use it, but it could actually be downright dangerous. And I'm not talking about the basic stuff like dosing or what type to take or taking it with fat sources. I'm talking about stuff, as always, that you can't find on Google. Hey there, I'm Mish, and I am a full-time researcher with my PhD. And by day, I conduct and publish studies of my own, and by night, I share other people's studies here to help you reach your weight loss, fitness, health, and nutrition goals. And today, I will be telling you an easy tweak you can make to make sure that you're taking vitamin D in a way that not only makes it effective, but also prevents it from being dangerous. And there's a really good chance that this tip will affect you if you take vitamin D, because I expect, based on studies, that approximately 50% of people are taking vitamin D wrong if they're taking vitamin D. And as I'm sure you know, vitamin D is really important for all sorts of bodily functions, including immune function, muscle function, and even our brain cell function. So it's really important to make sure you're getting enough, but unfortunately about 1 in 4 people have inadequate levels or low levels of vitamin D. And it's been shown that in these people who have low levels of vitamin D, supplementing vitamin D can improve energy, get rid of fatigue, improve mood, improve anxiety and depression, and even improve sleep, and even cause weight loss. And if you want details on the weight loss aspect of vitamin D, check out this video I made on it after you're done with this one. Given that so many of us have low levels of vitamin D, especially in the winter, it's important for a lot of people to supplement. Now I know a lot of people, especially more natural lifestyle type people, say we should all just go outside in the winter with a lot of exposed skin to keep getting our vitamin D. But if you don't live in Florida or California or the tropics, that's probably a terrible idea. At least I know it would be pretty dangerous for me to go outside here when it's 20 degrees with my legs exposed for a significant amount of time to get enough vitamin D exposure. So I need to supplement, as a lot of people do at northern latitudes. And it's especially important to supplement if you have darker skin, because darker skin makes it harder to synthesize vitamin D, but on the flip side, it also protects you from skin cancer. So there's pros and cons to both sides of the spectrum. Because our bodies are complicated, when we take vitamin D, we're not just raising our vitamin D levels. We actually end up affecting our other nutrient levels and other processes in our body. And one of these processes is the reason that taking vitamin D wrong can be dangerous, not to mention ineffective. And that reason is magnesium. So when you take vitamin D, it actually requires magnesium to be used in all these different processes in your body. So taking vitamin D actually uses up some of your magnesium in order to make it effective. So this has 2 effects. First, taking vitamin D actually depletes your magnesium levels, because the more vitamin D you take, the more magnesium you'll need to use up in order to take advantage of that vitamin D and put it to work in your body. And because half the population is not getting enough magnesium, this is going to lead to a really bad downstream effect in a lot of people, which is going to be depleted magnesium, which is bad on its own. And then also, once your magnesium is depleted, you can't actually use any more of that vitamin D you're supplementing. So you're out of magnesium, and then vitamin D won't even work anymore because of that. So then you get this double whammy of you're low on magnesium, and then you end up also low on vitamin D. In fact, some studies say that a major cause of vitamin D deficiency is probably magnesium deficiency. So if you take vitamin D hoping to get more energy, improve your mood, reduce your anxiety, and sleep better, you could end up having the opposite effect, because magnesium is also important for all of those functions. So if you have low magnesium, you're much more likely to have more anxiety, more depression, less energy, and worse sleep. So it's very important to make sure you are getting enough of both magnesium and vitamin D. And I'm going to tell you more about how to do that. And this relationship between magnesium and vitamin D is probably one of the reasons that a lot of people can take a ton of vitamin D but not have their blood level of vitamin D raise at all, because blood tests for magnesium suck. So generally you're not going to get that on a blood test at all, and even if you do get a magnesium blood test, it's really non-diagnostic. But using some big studies and some more high-tech methods than you're going to find in your doctor's office, it has been shown that at least a third of the population is most likely deficient in magnesium. So, in order to solve this, the easiest way is just to take a magnesium supplement. But of course, before starting any supplement, check with your doctor. But the best, most commonly available magnesium supplement is probably magnesium citrate. If you really want to look into it, there's a ton of different varieties, but citrate is one of the cheapest that's also well absorbed. And for those more basic, Googleable things I was talking about at the beginning, Liquid vitamin D tends to be better absorbed than other types of vitamin D. Vitamin D3 tends to be better than D2. Make sure to take your vitamin D with a fat source to make it effective because it's fat soluble, and don't go overboard with the dosing. There's a lot of online information available about dosing, and you should ask your doctor first. Here's the one I use, not sponsored at all. This is just what we take because it's super crazy, ridiculously cheap per dose compared to literally anything else I found, and it's vegan. And I'll link that below. And now for food sources of magnesium. The lists on the internet don't tend to be very accurate for whatever reason. Like, they include a lot of low magnesium foods with high numbers that don't match any other source I look at. So I don't know who's putting those together, but here is a list based on Chronometer cross-referenced with other nutrition databases for each one. And note that with magnesium, pretty much all the top sources are plant-based foods. I will quickly run through some top magnesium sources from most to least magnesium per calorie. And this list is definitely not exhaustive, it's just some of the highest sources of magnesium that I think you all would be interested in. And I'll be giving the daily value percentage of magnesium per 200 calories of each of these foods. So for the first few, you'll see that you're never gonna really eat 200 calories of those, so weigh that accordingly. But the first is cocoa powder, which has 150% of your daily value of magnesium in 200 calories. And this daily value is based on an average height, healthy weight, female, but it's all relative anyway, so it really doesn't matter what the actual concrete number is. And then we have spinach, which is also 150% in 200 calories. And then we have pumpkin seeds, which is 63%. And next we have kale at 46%. And then we have amaranth, which is one of my favorite grains, at 45%. And amaranth is also super high in iron, and it definitely has an interesting taste, but I honestly love it. But I hear it's controversial based on y'all's comments. But I do have recipes on my blog for apple pie amaranth porridge and also amaranth iron bars that are really good. So they're super high iron bars that have amaranth. They don't actually have some weird iron component in them. They just happen to be super packed with iron. So check those out if you're interested. And then we have cashews at 34%, almonds at 30%, and also soy and soy milk at 30% as well. So just having 200 calories of soy milk should get you on average about 30% of your daily value of magnesium if you are an average height, healthy weight female. It'll be less as you increase in height and size and whatnot. But you can look that up using Chronometer to determine what your daily value is and also what your general diet contains in terms of magnesium. I always talk about Chronometer here just because it's an invaluable tool to me and I absolutely love it and I'm so grateful it exists, not because I have any affiliation with it or anything like that. It's just a really nice website. So I do highly recommend putting in your foods in Chronometer because it can be really eye-opening to see how much of each nutrient you're getting. And you can see if your general diet tends to be low in magnesium, which could explain any poor mood you suffer from, or anxiety, or low energy, or bad sleep. So for the quick one-liner takeaway from this video, if you supplement vitamin D, it is really important to make sure you get enough magnesium. You can do this through your diet or through supplements. It's really easy. The end. And now for a more sciencey tidbit here. A lot of studies on vitamin D effects on our health and mood and everything tend to be pretty mixed. So you'll get a bunch of studies that get an effect and a bunch of big studies that don't get an effect. It's kind of all over the place, even more than most things are. And I think that based on this, there's a pretty good chance that this is caused by magnesium deficiency. Because if about a third of your subjects are deficient in magnesium and therefore can't actually use the vitamin D you're giving them, then of course it's going to be a lot harder to find effects, even if they really are there for 2/3 of the people. So I kind of wonder if studies that happen to recruit people who tend to be in areas that eat more magnesium in their diets, like, more traditional diets or something, I wonder if those studies would get big effects of vitamin D on all these different parameters, whereas studies examining people who tend to get lower magnesium, like for example, less affluent areas or more Western diet areas, might have no effect of vitamin D because they're not actually able to use it because their magnesium is so low, or because any benefits of vitamin D get counteracted by the depletion of magnesium. So I really hope researchers start looking at this in their studies, which is a little tough because again, our blood tests kind of suck for magnesium, but they could just give magnesium plus vitamin D, just vitamin D, or control for their groups across these studies and then see how these different parameters get affected. And this was a shorter video, or at least it was supposed to be, we'll see how it turns out, because I have had a very busy week thanks to something relevant to vitamin D and winter blues, which is the fact that we had our first big freeze, and so I had to harvest my entire garden in 3 days because our weather here is freaking insane. Like, we'll have 80 degrees. Actually, no, we had 90 degrees 3 days before the temperature got down to 20 degrees and killed all my plants. So the weather here is wild, so I have to be ready in a moment's notice to go take down the whole garden. So I harvested about I think 60 to 70 pounds of produce in 3 days, and now I am gradually working my way through processing all of it and freezing it and canning it and all that kind of crazy stuff that I do to get super organic, way higher nutrition produce than you can find at the grocery store. So I'm a little busy this week, so shorter video. I also wanted to say thank you so much to the 3 of you who became patrons on my Patreon in the last couple weeks, even though I don't have any benefits or tiers up yet. So that is just pure altruism, and I just want to say thank you and tell you how much I appreciate it, because that is very kind of you, and just want to tell you how much I appreciate your support. I will be working on getting those benefits and tiers up soon, because my grant is almost done, which I mentioned a couple of videos ago. And yeah, I'm very excited to put up bonus research notes, so extra tidbits that I thought were really interesting while researching but couldn't fit nicely into an episode. And I'm also really excited to do Q&As over on the Discord once we get it going, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, I would love to hear what you think. Do you take vitamin D? Do you notice it works or doesn't work, or it depends on your diet? Love to hear your thoughts. And if you like this video, please share and like it so we can get this information out there and hopefully help people to get more benefits from their vitamin D instead of potential dangers of magnesium deficiency. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all this non-Googleable science. Is kind of my new way of thinking of this stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.